I redesigned my entire brand in just 6 steps. Here's how I did it. And make sure to watch until the end because I do have a bonus step thrown in that will help you to amplify your design process with clients. Step 1 is onboarding the client. Now this project is a little different because the client is, well, me. But I still went through the entire onboarding process with myself, which actually helped me to better understand the onboarding process that my clients go through whenever they work with me. So it was a win-win. When I onboarded myself, I filled out every question of my discovery questionnaire. This helped me both as the client and as the designer to better understand the business that I was going to be designing for. I learned what the brand values were, what the mission statement was, the goals, and everything else that I needed to learn about the business before I started designing. The second step was to create a mood board. I went to Pinterest to gather inspiration on colors, type, and graphics that I liked. I then compiled this inspiration into an Illustrator document and formed a mood board that I would use for inspiration on the creative direction that I wanted to go in for this brand identity. Next, I moved on to designing the Wordmark. Now let's spend a bit more time on this step as I want to show you the full process of creating a brand identity, including choosing the typeface, customizing the font, creating variations, and choosing colors. So I have found several typefaces that I feel match with the aesthetic of my mood board that I created in step 2. And I'm just going to go through a few of my favorites and look for some glyphs within the letters. Finding glyphs helps with customizing the font later. Okay, now I've gone through a few. I'm going to start eliminating the ones that I definitely know that I don't want to go forward with. I also know that I want to have 2 different fonts within this Wordmark. One for the Emily Wilson portion and one for the graphic design portion of the naming. So some of these typefaces that I like, I have to think, is this going to work for the Emily Wilson portion or will it maybe work better for the graphic design portion? Okay, I think I want to go with this typeface here. So I'm going to try some customization to it now to get an idea of how it will work with my own touch added to it. So in my sketches, I had a few that connected the 2 L's together. So I want to try and make that happen with this typeface. I've outlined my text by pressing Ctrl-Shift-O, and I'm going to completely remove the L in Wilson. And then I'm going to use my direct selection tool by pressing the letter A on my keyboard to select the bottommost points on the L in Emily. And I'm just extending those 2 points down into the blank space of where the L of Wilson was. And now I need to adjust the kerning of the last 3 letters here so that they're not touching the L. I'm going to go through and adjust the kerning on all of the letters now, giving it a really close-knit, welcoming vibe. Now I'm going to use my pencil tool to adjust some of the letters a bit more, just to be more flowy, because I feel like that's the vibe that I'm trying to go with based on the mood board that I created. So with the letters selected, I'm just using the pencil tool, which is the letter N on your keyboard, and I'm dragging it over my letters into the shape that I want them to form into. Then I'm going over those adjustments with the smooth tool to smooth out those new paths that I created. Okay, I'm liking how this is looking so far. I want to switch gears and try adding in the graphic design portion of the Wordmark. I am sort of obsessed with this round text style, but I just can never get it to work. I don't know why, but it never works for me. So I'm trying it here because I just love it. And honestly, it looks pretty good, but I don't like how much space is between the Emily Wilson and the graphic design type here. So I'm changing my plan here, and I think I'm just gonna type out graphic design and place it beneath Emily Wilson so that it's flat beneath that. Okay, I'm happy with this layout. I want to customize my type a bit more. I've pulled over my sketches that I made in Procreate so that I can look at them side by side with my design. I'm loving this style here that has the I combined too. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did earlier with pulling the bottom 2 points of the I down into the spot of the I. Looking at this, I actually think I want there to be a little break between the two L's so that it is clear that the bottom of the Y is connecting to that second L and that it is all a part of one another, and I think it's gonna make it a bit more legible. Now I am going to do some major customization to the letter Y. I'm going to grab my pencil tool again by pressing the letter N on my keyboard, and I'm going to select the letter Y. And I'm just gonna start drawing out a rough outline of where I want the Y to be at. Now I'm going to use the smooth tool to smooth out the line and make it seamlessly connect with the L. Now for the submark. I love the look of the I and the two L's, and I think that it would be neat to make a submark out of just those letters. But I don't think that it's going to be recognizable enough for me that that submark goes with Emily Wilson graphic design. So I think I'm instead going to try to make a submark out of the E and the W. I'm going to just try a few different layouts until I get a better concept of how I want to lay out the submark letters together. Okay, so I thought that this was the submark that I wanted to go with here. I went through and I actually created my brand board and pattern and everything with it. But I slept on it and I decided that I actually don't like it. So back to the drawing board I went. And I've come up with this submark here, and it is just so much better in my opinion. It's simple but effective, and it's very legible and easy to tell that it's an E and a W, which are obviously my initials, which makes this submark recognizable and memorable. The fourth step after designing the logo is determining the colors. Now I decided to have a little fun with choosing the colors for my brand identity. I actually reached out to my family members and friends and asked them two questions. The first question was, if I was a color, what color would I be? And the second question was, why that color? I then was going to take all of those colors that they gave me and turn them into my personal branding color palette. I'll admit, I was super nervous about going down this path with choosing my colors, but I really just thought, what better way than to have other people choose the colors that I should use based on what they see as being me. My brand is meant to represent me. So however other people see me should be reflected in my personal branding. And you can do this same sort of exercise with your own personal brand identity. And you could even use it for your actual business projects with actual clients. In fact, you technically should be. You might not actually physically ask the other person, if your business was a color, what color would your business be? But you should be asking yourself that question about your client's business. It's all in the strategy. Anyways, I was nervous that the colors that my friends and family were going to choose would not work good together and that I was going to be stuck with an ugly color pattern. However, I was bound and determined to make this work. I was also scared that they would all pick the same color, and then I would have one color and then have to figure out the rest, and the whole plan would be a bust. But to my surprise, the color palette turned out absolutely beautiful, and I now have an amazing story behind each color of the brand identity. I actually had 2 people say the same color, almost 3 people, as my husband said purple and my mom and one of my sisters said lavender. My best friend and my papa both said yellow, but the other 3 people all chose vastly different colors, and it made it so much fun. In the end, my color palette became 8 different colors, which is the largest color palette that I have ever had for a brand identity. The colors for my brand are lavender, which I made primary since I had my mom and sister both say it, purple, which is the color that my husband chose, which is another primary color because it's a similar shade to the lavender chosen, which made it feel like I had basically 3 people that chose the same color. I have 2 shades of yellow. One is a mustard and one that I named Sunshine Yellow, which both of these are secondary colors because I had 2 people state yellow. My pawpaw and my best friend. A pink that my mother-in-law chose, a green that my other sister chose, and a blue chosen by my son. The 5th step now is designing the pattern. I'm creating some illustrations that I'm going to lay out to include in my pattern. I also love this lockup of where the I and the 2 L's meet with that Y, so I'm going to include that in here as well. That's the one that I wanted to use for my submark, but I decided that it wouldn't work good as a submark, but I think it's gonna work good in the pattern. Once I have this all laid out, I'm going to object, pattern, make, and I'm going to adjust the placement of the elements until they are perfect and make a beautiful, seamless pattern. Now, step 6 is creating mockups. I need to make sure that my branding is going to work in various applications, and I want to make sure that it excites me when I put it on collateral. I used Envato elements to source the mockups for this brand. Envato has a huge library of assets to choose from, and they are my go-to place for all of my projects. I use them to find typefaces, stock imagery, graphic templates, and of course, mockups. Once I have my mockups chosen from Envato, I can simply open them in Photoshop, edit the smart object layer by double-clicking and placing my design onto this layer. Now, here's where the magic happens. Press Ctrl S to save and head back over to the main file and voila! My design just placed directly into the mockup. Okay, now I know I said I did this in 6 steps, which really I did. But there is one more step that isn't necessarily required to completing a brand identity, but it is extremely helpful once your brand identity is complete and established. That is brand guidelines. Now, brand guidelines can be a full document going into full detail of how to use the brand correctly and how to not use the brand. Or it can be a simplified sheet with simple brand usage instructions. This simplified sheet includes the logos and the type of logo that they are, whether it's the submark, the icon, the primary logo, or the secondary logo. It has the colors on it along with their color codes, so the hex code, the CMYK, the RGB. It has the type names and the usage, such as if it's the header font or if it's the body font, maybe it's meant to add emphasis to any text. And it will also have the pattern. On the sheet, you can also include some simple instructions on proper brand usage, such as the blue in the brand color should exclusively be used as the background color for the pattern. It should never be used in any other application within branding material. Having that on there just allows your client to know how they can use the brand and how they cannot, and how to use certain colors, how to use the type, how to use the logos. And instead of being a full 24 or longer page document of brand guidelines, it's condensed down to one sheet that has all of that information on it. I've created a brand guidelines template to make creating this sheet easier for you. So go grab this freebie down in the description below or in the pinned comment. Yes, that's right, it's totally free. So go download the template right now and watch how this one added step can improve your client experience and make you a more trustworthy designer. So that's how I created a full brand identity in just 6 simple steps. If you want to watch me design another brand, then you need to watch this video right here where I do exactly that. And if you've watched this far and you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell so that you can be notified each time that I post a video just like this one. But for now, until the next video, remember to become the brand and